No NBA last night, but we're still giving you Hump Day Hoops. Rudy loves that title. I don't, but I guess I'm going to keep using it. So I'm going to bring Rudy in here in a bit and just run through some of the stuff the first few weeks into the season. I just kind of love doing this stuff and then getting caught back up on everything after football all weekend. So I was able to get a lot of stuff done. So I went back and watched Clippers, Knicks, Harden's first game with them. The Clippers are 3-3. They lost this one. There's some real specific things that I was looking for because I find this fascinating, an experiment, if you will. I don't know if that's the right way to categorize it, but first play, center tip, Harden gets right in his guy's jersey. New guy syndrome on 11. I saw it with Antoine Walker when he came back to the Celtics. You know, the criticisms of Antoine, and then he's gone. Then he came back for like that last push for part of that season. And how quickly he was like getting the ball and then running to the baseline and inbounding it because people said he like played too slow. It's like, I'm going to show everybody. And then it all goes away. We all revert back. You know, basketball players are a lot like somebody in a relationship after a fight. It's like, all right, I'm going to take you back, but you know, you need to be better. And it's like that first week, that's the best a dude ever is. All sorts of stuff. Be like, no, you do what you want to do. No, I won't go out. Oh no. What do you want to do? You want to go to the farmer's market? I'll go. And then, 3 weeks later, you're like, I don't want to look at fruit. I don't want to look at fruit. It's the same outside as it is over there. I don't care. It isn't, but you get the point. So Harden right into, I think it was Grimes, right into his jersey immediately. But that's not, who cares, right? I can't wait to figure out the rotational stuff because it looked like the move for Ty Lue was to have Harden play with the second unit. And so what I noticed was Westbrook was bringing the ball up when it was the four of them together to not completely impede who Westbrook has been this year because he's actually been pretty good for him. Look, the Westbrook problems that I have will always exist for some of the decision making and the way he sees the game, but I don't think he's going to shoot 38% from three this season. That's what he's been doing. But the effort, for the most part, is pretty good. And I actually defend him in the Utah game because I just think a guy getting a rebound, 2 seconds left, and everybody just started beating up on him again. I actually wanted to defend him on that one, even though, look, no one thinks I'm a huge Westbrook guy. But it was a bit redundant with what they were trying to do, where it's like, all right, we don't want to step on Westbrook's toes, so he'll bring the ball up as the point guard because off-ball Westbrook is the worst version of Westbrook that we saw with the Lakers. So he still is on the ball, but he's not really on the ball because Harden's going to want to get the ball. So then what are you doing with the two best players in Kawhi and Paul George? So there was a bunch of times where Harden would actually go to the elbow for like a post catch on the elbow and then would kind of turn back around and set up the offense. Now Harden is capable of passer. Like I don't know if he's the number one best passer. I wouldn't say he's like Jokic is a better passer than he is, but Harden's a really good passer, sees things really well. But that part of it was kind of this fake overlap of, yeah, we'll let you do this still. And then, but you're going to get it over here. The problem becomes when there was some stuff I saw later in the game where they would run some Paul George Kawhi 2-man game with Westbrook and Harden both in at the same time. And off the ball, despite the Westbrook shooting numbers this season, I think there's some corner three numbers in the past that are decent enough to feel like you at least have to respect it a bit. But for the most part, you're not going to worry about it. And Harden's not going to move. So in those moments where he wasn't getting an early catch and it was the other guys working, Harden was in the corner. And that is, like, we saw some off-ball stuff with Chris Paul that wasn't great. I can't fathom that that's going to be what that is. And I need to go look at his catch and shoot three stuff. It feels like he's always far more comfortable off the dribble getting into his shot. But that would be a massive evolution to Harden's game to be kind of a weak side or corner three rotational guy that you feel like is giving the defense more stress and having to play him. But the Knicks, specifically this one, they just weren't worried about it because Harden, once you know where he is, he's not going to move. And Westbrook would still need to shoot it better far longer for you to respect that you have to close out on it. So then it's Paul George and Kawhi with like everybody looking at them. Like the defense is loaded to that side, and even the backside guys are still looking at where the ball is and what's happening with those two players. The substitution pattern stuff here, although Westbrook's shooting it well, he's under 2 free throw attempts per game for him. So we will monitor that. Harden was the first sub out of the 4 at 5:17 of the first quarter. Then Westbrook came out and Harden came in for him at 2:29. And then they had Norman Powell in for Kawhi. Harden stays in at the start with the second unit. So he was minus 18 for the game, but that's pretty unfair for Harden because he played those 2 pretty long stretches with the second unit. I'll bore you with a bit here with some substitution pattern stuff, and we'll be done with this pretty quickly. But then George comes in for Harden at 7:48 of the second quarter. Harden comes back in at 2:32 the second quarter, but then Kawhi is out of the game at 1:48. The fourth quarter, Kawhi comes in at 10:17. Paul George comes in at 9:38. So there was still a little bit of that overlap second unit where Harden was in there. And then at 4:25, Ty Lue waved the white flag and brought the bench in. So let's see what the rotations are. But that was an early glimpse of starting all the guys. Harden's the first one to come out, then Harden for Westbrook, and then Harden with the second unit, and then bringing in the starter slowly, then bringing Harden back in there later. And then all it really is going to matter is what it looks like in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter, because that's when it's a lot harder to go, yeah, I'm kind of getting away with some of these things, but now the last 6 to 8 minutes of the fourth quarter in a close game where all 4 of you expect to be out there, let's see what it looks like. We already talked about the offense a little bit, but what happened in this game cannot happen, but I'm afraid it's going to keep happening. 18 offensive rebounds for the Knicks, 18. And it's not because the injury here to Plumlee. This is about Westbrook and Harden never paying attention to who they're supposed to be boxing out in these moments. Once Harden is no longer interested in locating who his man is, it happened with DiVincenzo twice. It happened with Grimes on another play where they're in the corner and then Harden turns to look at the basketball, loses control of anything that's happening, just standing there, and DiVincenzo just crashes in from the corner. There was another huge spot where Westbrook just decided to stop paying attention to anything. DiVincenzo just flew right past him. Westbrook never even came close. He didn't even know. DiVincenzo was 5 feet past him before he even realized he had lost him. That's the kind of stuff, boys and girls, that gets me worked up. And if you're a Clippers fan, you're going to see it all the time because those dudes are not changing. And those are the kind of plays that are going to lose you basketball games. So that I can't say, hey, it's going to get better because it's not going to get better. And now that you have 2 guys on the team at the same time, look, even Kawhi loses some interest every now and then too, right? Paul George wasn't very good in the game. But that's not really the issue. And both those guys have played all 6 games. That's the issue with certain players. When I see stuff like that and I go, oh, okay, you guys you're not serious about winning. Because if you're serious about winning, you don't lose your guy. And now you've got 2 guys that do that.